The Sexton single malt Irish whiskey. Blah. Welcome to KIllco Whiskey Musings. I'm still not used to saying that. My name is Brian, and today we are on day 3 of my little Irish whiskey adventure. Yet another bottle donated to my channel by my parents. So, thanks, Mom and Dad. Came with the thing. I'm going to read the thing. The Sexton is a small batch Irish single malt, triple distilled for smoothness in copper pot stills and aged to perfection in European oak seasoned sherry casks. Crafted by one of a few female master blenders, Alex Thomas. The Sexton is a balanced and approachable whiskey. We'll see about that. Well, part of this that caught my mother's attention was, of course, figuring out that there was a female master blender out there in the Irish world. And this is March, so I'm combining forces. Yes, certainly no one else has ever combined Women's History Month with Irish Whiskey Month. Time, St. Patrick's Day thing. In all seriousness, though, the women in the whiskey industry are basically how I got into whiskey in the first place. Me and my father helped record an audiobook by Fred Minnick, which is called Whiskey Women. So if you'd like to learn more about that, or hear some of it, or just buy it, link down below. I have to point out that holding onto this bottle is a little awkward. I have an idea how I'm going to pour it, but that's just because I saw something on their webpage about how they did it. First, let's go on with the opening of this. They have a nice little tab here, and of course... Oh, got it. Okay. One of the easiest ones to open so far. Ooh. Make sure I point this little guy out. He's actually on the front of the bottle, too. There he is. Oh, you have no idea how hard it was to get this into focus. For whatever reason, I have this weird assumption that this is going to sound different because of the shape of the bottle. Seems a bit weird, but okay. Nope, sounded just like usual. Now, how do you pour this monstrous thing? That's a lot of whiskey. And a spillage, of course. This is happening more and more often. Why? On with the color. I don't know why I say it like that. But as you can see, this is actually kind of a little coppery. It's not quite the usual yellow. At least for me. Tell me what you think. It's kind of hard to tell. Again, lighting, stuff. But I'm intrigued, because it looks a little different from the Irish whiskey colors I'm used to. Before I get into my masterful nosing technique, I have to admit I've smelled a little of this by accident because, of course, I spilled a bunch on myself when I poured it, and immediately it was kind of these fruit notes. I also have to admit I accidentally read dried fruit on the label when I was looking at it. Begin nosing technique. I know this was finished in sherry barrels. I just read that at the start. So, of course, I'm thinking fruits and wines and such. And I am wondering if I was influenced just by reading the word dried fruits. And there's definitely that on here. I want to try and be more specific, but my brain is just like, bleh, you've been making too many videos lately. Drinking so much whiskey, huh? Do a little bit of the swirly swirl. Very fruit forward. This is nuts. I'm like having a hard time getting around it. One good thing, of course, for me is I don't get that malt weirdness that I've gotten on the last 2 I've reviewed. So bonus points to that. And I'm not noticing any kind of weird metallic-y, coppery, penny thing. This is a word I don't get to use very often, but there's like a hint of petrichor. If you're not sure what that means, it's just a fancy word I found out about where it means after it's rained. I'm thinking of buttered toast. Maybe slightly burnt toast? That was odd. Maybe not. I feel like I can do this for a very long time. I'm thinking of buttered toast with, like, fruit on it, or jam of some sort. Exactly what kind, I'm not sure. Strawberry? Maybe? Josh mentioned that I'm kind of hungry. That might have something to do with it. Alright, I'm going to move on because I have been nosing this for quite a while. It may not seem like that in the video, but to me it's been a while. And for something that's just being pawned as a... pawned? Advertised? Advertised, that's a better word. Advertised as smooth... The nose on this is actually quite intriguing to me. I want to just keep doing this for like 10 minutes. Onto the palate. Ooh, a little spicy. Burn going down, usual. I haven't had any whiskey today. It's probably never a good idea, but whatever. Not only is it my first sip of the whiskey, it's the first whiskey I've had today. Oh, it's light and fruity, a little peppery. There's not much of a finish. The texture is pretty good. I don't know why I'm a texture person, but sometimes if it's like it can feel like watery or thinner or something like that. It doesn't feel like bad words, but I don't mean them to be. But for me, whiskey has to have a certain texture, and when it doesn't, my brain's like, wait a minute, you're drinking water, and it's a little dangerous. You'll notice I'm still nosing it, unsurprisingly. But let's get on to holding it on my tongue to see what I can get out of it from that. Oh yeah, it comes alive doing that. A little peppery. Tongue tingles. Sweet. Kind of fruity dry. All of a sudden my tongue got dried out there. That was neat. Now the oak tannins come through a little bit. Or something. Ooh. This is actually a lot more complicated than I was expecting. It's very good. I mean, this is something I would actually pour if I was in the mood for an Irish, but something slightly different. Because it's not buttery. It's mostly just the sherry notes are kind of dominating, which I like. Apparently I kind of like sherry Irish stuff because I'm almost certain, but not 100% positive while I'm making this, that Redbreast is finished in sherry cask as well. Let me know if I'm wrong. People love telling me I'm wrong. I will admit right now that I definitely plan to pour more of this in the glass once I'm done making this video. So what does that tell you? It tells me I'm thirsty. Having given some of my first impressions, we will move on to the app I use to figure out what else people have thought about this whiskey and get a little more idea, because I don't know if it's the time of day or what. Maybe it's because it's the first whiskey I drank today. My brain didn't want to work too much. So here we go. I was afraid of that. Not much here. I'm probably gonna... Ooh. I know, even though I avoid looking at it, there are some notes on here. I will look at these after them and consider them the official notes. We begin with the average price paid, which in this case is around $28 to $30, maybe. That's not a bad price, actually. The community knows profile here says sherried, hay-like, and butter. I did say buttered toast, so that's something. Hay-like. There was something I was mulling over in my head, which didn't seem to fit, so I didn't say it. I thought of like charcoal and ash, but not even like you'd smell on a peated or anything. It was something like smelling a burnt out campfire from far away from it. I don't know why I thought that. I don't know why I thought that was in here. It's not in the community knows profile, but I'm wondering if it was just hay-like. I haven't been around hay in quite a while, so well, no, my brain's it's not registering for me. A little bit more on the flavor profile. Caramel, sherried, earthy, butter, and spicy. Earthy, huh? Is earthy a taste? This is nice. Caramel I can get. Butter, I suppose, a little. That might be more of a texture thing for me. Spicy, it was a little spicy when I held it in my tongue. Sherried, again, I guess that just means kind of fruity. As I've said in at least probably the last two videos I did on Irish stuff, I don't have a good reference point for sherried. And earthy, maybe a little bit on the finish, but not on the initial taste. And even that, I'm kind of like, wow, earthy? Like licking the ground earthy? Like being near a freshly dug hole in the ground earthy? Well, this is a surprise. The community finish profile. Sherried, metallic, which I definitely didn't get. Leathery. Maybe that's the drying out feeling for me. Pepper. Candy. I don't know if I'd say it's candy sweet on the finish. Butter, spicy, and sweet. It's a delightful whiskey for me. I can't exactly describe why, but all of these words fit pretty well. I'll give what little I can from the app site I use for the usual stuff I say. We have an origin of Antrim, Ireland. ABV is 40%, which I forgot to say, but I did now, so there you go. Irish single malt. which is an interesting change of pace. I think I'm used to blended whiskey, Irish whiskey most of the time. So this is a nice change, and it didn't throw anything super weird at me, but it was definitely not what I was expecting. And no age statement. Super professional right here, reading the label that comes with it. Tasting notes. It's on here, I promise. Nose, honeyed malt, nut, marzipan, allspice, and fruits. Palate. At first, mellow honey, malt, and then rich dried spices, nuts, and sweet oils. Honeyed malt. Mellow honey malt. I hope it's mellowed, because as I was saying, with certain malted things for me, I get this weird, funky thing. And even saying that, I'm not sure if that's exactly what it is, or if I've actually narrowed it down to that being the problem. That is something I don't like. Certainly not on this one. Finish. Pleasant, gentle wood with honey sweetness fading slowly. A lot of honey notes on this, which I didn't exactly get, but I could have just equated it to the sweetness. And honestly, this one's delightful to me, and I don't 100% know why, but I'm fine with that. A little more random info for this bottle. One, the shape makes it very unique on the shelf, so that's something. But also, when I was looking up a little bit about this whiskey, trying to find the website, a little more info kind of thing, which is what I do. I don't pretend to know anything about this until I use Google. I came up with this. Sexton. A person who looks after a church and churchyard, sometimes acting as bell ringer, and formerly as a grave digger. Thus, our little friend on here is a bit grim. And there we are. The Sexton single malt Irish whiskey. Actually, so far out of the past few videos I've done, this one seems to be my favorite. I have a sneaking suspicion I will like the next video just a little more. But I would certainly recommend trying this one, because it surprised me, and it is not your typical Irish. That's the funny part. I definitely went into this one going, well, maybe it's just going to be your standard Irish, but who knows? And no, it's this sweet, fruity, lovely little dram. So until next time, which will be tomorrow again, live long and prosper. Don't forget to be awesome. It's lunch. Thank you for joining me on KIllco. Please remember to like and subscribe, and I'll see you next time.